Hello everyone, Sat Sangat. I am back as I promised with the North Node eclipse in October 28th, 2023. In this video, I will speak about any North Node eclipse and how it works, what it is, and also how if the North Node eclipse joins one of your personal planets or your native planets, how that will affect you. So I will not speak specifically on the chart of October 28 North Node eclipse in Taurus. However, I will explain how this will affect you personally in case this eclipse joins one of your planets. So I think this will be more personal to you in that case. So if you like my videos and you appreciate my work, make sure you subscribe so I can continue posting this kind of videos. I would really appreciate if you like it, you show it in your comments and give it a thumbs up. And you can also follow me on my blog, satsangatastrology.blogspot.com, and the other media listed here. So if you would like to order a reading, you have my email address here, and you go to the blog where I have a description of every reading that I can do for you. So I am a tropical astrology astrologer, and I work with whole houses, and I apply to my work several different techniques from different disciplines. So you can count on a very, very deep interpretation of your chart. So this is the chart of the October 28th, 2023, 5 degrees, 9 minutes of Taurus. So if you have any planets either in Taurus at 5 degrees, or Scorpio, Aquarius, or Leo, then you can count on having your chart affected or impacted in your life as well. So this is the axis of resources, of energy, finances. Taurus is associated with food intake, as a second house, natural house of the zodiac, is also associated with family lineage and all those good things, right? Like arts and crafts and all the energy and resources we need to sustain life. Scorpio, on the other hand, is the sign where we need to trust another or another person or even institutions or financial places where you can trust in order to join energies in order to do what you need to do in life. So it's this the energy and resources axis. So it depends obviously on which houses in your chart the eclipse will be falling. So remember, I use whole sign houses, and I will analyze the chart in another video in the future. But today I will focus on explaining what a North Node eclipse is, and then see how it will affect your sun, your moon, in case it joins any of the planets in your natal chart. So here you have an illustration from timeanddate.com where it shows you that eclipses happen on the nodes of the moon. And what are the nodes of the moon? The intersection of the orbit of the moon with the ecliptic, or the orbit of the sun. So, or the ecliptic. I will not go deeply into explaining what entails, but this is the only occasion where new moons and full moons can be eclipsed. So lunar eclipse happens when the moon is covered by the shadow of the earth. So see, here you have the illustration where the sun is in the center, obviously. Then you have the earth and the moon is on the other side, receiving the shadow of the earth. So that is a lunar eclipse. In this case, October 28th, it is a partial eclipse. So it's not completely covered. The moon is not completely covered by the shadow of the earth. Okay, so what do eclipses mean? So they mark, in general, any solar or lunar eclipse, they mark steps in your soul's evolution. So even though you may feel on the north node, you may feel that something is entering, some kind of energy may enter your life in the form of a material event, a physical event. It doesn't mean that it's just the meaning is just your physical reality in your life, but it is demanding that you reorient your physical reality in order to achieve a step, one more step in your soul's evolution. So there is always a spiritual meaning to, let's see, maybe a hidden meaning in an eclipse, right? Especially if it is a solar eclipse, you don't really know or see what is happening. But with a full moon eclipse like this one, lunar eclipse is called, it may be the light of the unconscious may be interrupted. So the light of consciousness may be shed on any issue, and it could be a psychological issue, emotional. So it's always calling your attention on your spiritual life. So it helps you lead your life journey, where you're supposed to go, since the North Node is always the orientation your soul is supposed to go. In this case, the North Node is already in Aries, so that is the direction, a more individualistic approach to your life, initiatory, maybe impulsive, and more assertive in any way. So that is the North Node in Aries. For more information on the axis of the nodes Aries Libra, I wrote a specific blog post in my satsang.astrology.blogspot.com, where you can read all about Aries Libra nodal axis. So the nodes run clockwise through the chart and repeat every 18 years on the same direction. Every 9 years they are reversed, and every 4.5 they are crossing. So their effect lasts for a long time. The effect of the eclipses maybe 6 months, 1 year, and they overlap with the other eclipses. So we have a kind of a cocktail of effects. And I have a list here of previous lunar eclipses at the same 5 degrees of Taurus, because they tend to repeat on the same degree in periods of time. So, and in fact, there are 4 recent in the last 80 years, let's say. The first one I noted here is October 29, 1966. If you were alive at that time, it was lunar eclipse at 5 degrees of Taurus, is same degree, just a variation on the minutes. Next one was October 28, 1985. Next, October 27, 2004. And the last one, about 10 years ago, April 25th, 2013. And those are all lunar eclipses on 5 degrees of Taurus, and the last one was 5 degrees of Scorpio reversed, right? So a lunar eclipse 2013, and Taurus Scorpio, but the moon was in Scorpio and the sun it was reversed. So it's important to keep in mind those dates. Why? Because you may refer to events in the past, and it doesn't mean that you will have those same events, but the themes will be repeated. So if something happened, for example, in your education or cultural awareness or religious events, then that will be a repetition of the same themes with different events, of course. Life goes on. If it was something about your family, right, or members of the family, then that will be repeated again on the same themes, different things, but on the same themes. So that's why it's important to take a look. As I said, October 66, October 85, October 2004, and April 2013 reversed. So the effect will be more intense, of course, if there is a planet at that degree, or just in a tight orb of maximum, I would tell 5 degrees. So it's sometimes it works as a cleanser or detoxifying, always think spiritually, right? And it has a revitalizing effect, a kind of an upgrade of your spiritual life. So it is definitely a forerunner to change, helps you to rebalance affairs of the house where it falls. And it is certainly unpredictable. So you can never predict what an eclipse will bring. It has the energy of, especially on the North Node, because it has that energy similar to Uranus, right? Changes that could be sudden and unexpected, and changes of direction. Yeah, you come to a crossroad, and then all of a sudden that road ends and you need to turn 90 degrees right or left or whatever. So it's unpredictable. And I will also wanted to tell you that this is part of my introductory course that I teach and where I speak even about the nodes of the moon in very detail, and I speak about the eclipses and explain what everything means in more detail. So this is an excerpt of my course, in fact, if you like to learn with me. So what is a lunar eclipse? Okay, I explained before, it's an opposition between the sun and the moon, where the Earth is in the middle, is intercepting the light of the moon, the light of the sun, sorry, over the moon. So it's the conscious and unconscious. Conscious is the sun, represented by the sun, unconscious represented by the moon. So we have here projective energy, the sun, on the receptive, but it's interrupted by the presence of the earth or the physical material reality, right? So it implies a revelation or a completion of something because it's a full moon, but at the same time it's interrupted, or it has this factor of unpredictability, and it's the interrupted awareness of that culmination or completion. So for a moment, the awareness or the consciousness is blurred, and then something else comes out. So where something is manifesting, or an aspect of your situation may manifest that you didn't know it existed. So a certain situation or a certain problem, then you can see it in full light, and you understand that a decision is needed or an action is needed. So if you need to do something about it, then make sure that you wait until a few days after, because it's not a good idea to do something on the same day, because as I said, the light is interrupted and you may not see very clear. So usually at the point of the 270-degree angle or third quarter square between the moon and the sun is the time of the crisis in consciousness, where you can assimilate what this lunar eclipse brought. So something about the affairs of the zodiac houses where it falls comes out in the open, meaning the houses occupied by Taurus and Scorpio. And it's usually related to relationships in general because of the opposition, sun, moon, right? Father, mother, projective, receptive kind of energies. And you may experience a very raw emotional energy and really deep, and it could be exhilarating joy or very depressive pain. So it depends on many factors. That's why astrologers invite you to have a personal reading, because it may affect your life very differently depending on your natal chart. So that's why I advise you to order your reading, your personal reading. Here is my blog, where you can go to this tab where it says how I work and what I offer. And you will see this page where if you scroll down, you see all the descriptions of the readings that I offer, and prices and all the information that you need to order it. Okay, so suppose that this eclipse is on the north node, and I will immediately explain the planets. But first of all, what does it mean to have an eclipse on the north node? Even though it's out of sign, but it's still close to the north node. So it provides an inflow of energy. So you are receiving or perceiving something coming into your life. It compares to the energy of Jupiter and Uranus together or separated. So it's a very dynamic and sometimes is perceived as auspicious, luckier, not always, right? Because we've studied many cases where it doesn't feel like very auspicious, but it depends on your level of consciousness again, in your natal chart, and how you live, how you play the music of the natal chart, right? So it depends on you personally, and what is going on in your life as well. So the results usually appear outwardly in a tangible way, as I said, in your material reality or your physical life. You may find newfound power, strength, and the experience may be perceived as positive and easy. It may, not saying that is always the case, but is usually the case. So, and it's also an expansive, unexpected blessings may come to your life, surprises, of course. Think in the terms of Jupiter or Uranus, the way they operate, that's the way a north node eclipse operates. So, and usually it will shake your comfort zone. You will have to move something. So a lunar eclipse on the north node is experienced positively, and it affects your personal life, your home, your close environment, security, and loved ones. It's different if it is a solar eclipse, but in this case, it's a lunar eclipse. So in general considerations, of course, it affects the planet that conjoins in your natal chart and the houses ruled by that planet. Suppose that it is Mercury, right? It will affect the houses occupied by Gemini and Virgo, and that for each planet. It will also affect the houses of Cancer and Leo because of the sun and the moon opposition. So the eclipses then affect the house and planet where it falls, squares and oppositions to those planets, the sign and house polarity, as I said, where it's happening, Virgo, Taurus, Scorpio in this case, the houses of Taurus and Scorpio. So it's almost, if you have a planet there, the whole chart would vibrate with it. If you don't have a planet, then at least you will have 4 houses affected: Cancer, Leo, Taurus, and Scorpio. And sometimes the opposition, Aquarius and Capricorn, depending, right, for projection. So if the eclipse happens on the angles, of course it will be on 2 angles because it's an opposition. The moon is opposing the sun. So if it is the moon on your ascendant, it will affect your descendant as well. If it is on the midheaven, then it will oppose the IC or the immuncoilis. So it is very strong in the angles. So if your planet is retrograde, it could be more on the reflective aspect of the planet, and it might require additional effort for whatever change it is. So, but you can ensure that any eclipse brings a change of some sort. So also, every eclipse is later activated when other planets are transiting the point. So every time there is a planet passing through the 5 degree of Taurus, then of course it will affect. And usually the faster planets come first, and the slower planets will be next, right? So the moon, of course, every month, Mercury once or twice a year, Venus later on, and Mars next. And Jupiter will take about 12 years because it is in Taurus and more advanced degrees. And then the next slower planets will be Saturn and Neptune, who will be transiting through the sign of Aries and then Taurus. So that is the sequence of the planets that will be transiting over that degree. So now let's do special considerations for the North Node. It's a more fortunate eclipse. If it is fortunate, then luck, strength, new opportunities, new energy, stimulation of the house where it happens. It calls attention, it boosts your energy for the themes of that house, right? And may increase the fortune. Now, if it comes as a difficult eclipse, it could be excess, overwhelm, all the characteristics of Jupiter dark side, right? Aggression. It could be an invasion of energy or greed or destruction, swelling, break. So as I said, we cannot predict how it will affect your life unless we read the chart and we have an interview with the person, because we need to know, astrologists need to know what is your situation in life and how you live your life. Okay. So let's say that the North Node eclipse happens on your sun. So you have a crisis of identity, maybe. You reconsider the way you enjoy life, or you may have the opportunity to assume a position of authority, or you may receive support from authority figures, from your father or someone in power. It definitely talks about new opportunities, and you may take center stage. Who knows? You may take a position of authority or popularity, right? But it's, in general, is self-affirming. So your identity will be strengthened. It may revitalize your heart and the upper back. It may give you an infusion of energy and vitality. But at the same time, if your heart is not strong, right, and you suffer from your heart, it may involve your heart. It may affect your heart. So it depends, as I said, on if it is a negative or positive influence. It depends on your chart. So if it is on your moon, then it might bring changes, domestic changes on your family, affecting the situation or affecting family members. Changes in your mother's life, for example, or for example, it can bring pregnancy or issues about breastfeeding or rearing a child. It could be adoption as well. But it gives you in general a sense of safety and protection, more increased confidence. It's at the subconscious level, but you may feel like more expressive emotionally. And definitely it's an increase in popularity. You may be also center stage in some media, for example. The organs that are affected could be the stomach and breast, with more sensitivity, increase. Remember, it's an increase of energy. There is energy coming in, so it's always increased. So an eclipse north node on Mercury, it may introduce you to new ideas, information. It could be an opportunity to make a new contract or negotiations or deals. Intellectual renewal. For example, changing your ideas will be opening your mind to new ways of thinking. So it could feel like, well, now I am understood. Now I can express myself. You may have new concepts coming to your mind. And you may become more efficient in learning. Your plans and routines can go well. You may improve your routines or your skills. And you may develop better relationship with your siblings and neighbors. So the organs associated with Mercury will be the lungs, the intestines, and digestion. And also remember, the houses ruled by Mercury in Gemini and Virgo. So if the North Node eclipse is on your Venus, then you may change your desires and the things that you attract. Things like money, love, social life, the comforts of your life. And you may feel in the mood for celebrations and enjoying life more. It may bring good fortune, I don't know, winning a lottery or something, or having a pay increase if that is opportune, and maybe if Venus rules your second house or something. So it could be also changes in your relationships for good, maybe. And also you may change the appreciation of beauty and what is good, right? And it may bring solutions to health problems related to the areas of the body ruled by Venus, like the veins, pancreas, the spleen, the throat, the thyroid, the jaw, the neck, the kidneys, and such. So if the North Node eclipse is on your Mars, then it affects definitely the level of energy, the strength of your muscles. It gives you more physical confidence and autonomy, more assertiveness. You may increase your level of activities, your independence, your initiatory attitude, and it may make your work more effective. You may become stronger, right? More muscle, more, but it can also bring harder work and physical activity. And it could be an increase in your sexual libido and activity. So it could On the negative side, it could bring inflammation, fever, heat in your body, and aggressiveness, right? If you become too strong, suppose that you have Mars square Pluto, right? And then it's stimulating your Mars, it will at the same time stimulate the square to Pluto. So it may you may need to be careful not to make extra efforts that you can get injured. So as I said, you need to be careful with your physical activity, not to exaggerate too much. So that will be the case for an eclipse on Jupiter, because Jupiter is already magnifying everything. So an eclipse on Jupiter could be really big, big luck, great abundance, but it can also bring increased knowledge or new beliefs or new cultural awareness. Also agreements with a close association, a partner in business. It can correct your judgment and your ethic. And those beliefs that you keep so dear to your heart, they might be affected, changed, or strengthened. Maybe make sure that you don't become fanatic. And it can bring a new adventure or new plans for the future, and new opportunities for prosperity. So new opportunities to travel abroad or long distance and such. So it's perceived very positive. However, having the North Node close by, it may really make this Jupiter too much. Jupiter can be too much and may not be as positive in your life to have too much, right? Okay, next, the North Node eclipse on Saturn. Well, here we become more serious, right? Acquiring new responsibilities, new ambitions. You may become more sober, more mature, more disciplined. You can retire, for example, right? Or you can assume responsibility of being a grandfather or grandmother. Life turns more serious, and there is a lesson to learn. You may have to obey new rules, restrictions. Some people may get imprisoned, right? Either in jail or isolated, right? Or one person may go on a retreat by choice, right? So also there might be an elderly person who needs your care. And there could be also concerns with status and your professional life in case you are still working. But as I said, your change in status could be that you retire, for example, or that you gain a position of a lot of responsibility that feels heavy, like Saturn, you know, and it may awake fears, pessimism, depression. It may feel this discouragement because it's too much, it's too heavy. So, and your bones and teeth may suffer problems, and there is sometimes a need to restructure your life, right? Because the house of Capricorn and the house of Aquarius will be affected So the house of Capricorn deals with the structures of your life, and you may need to review, revise, and redo, right, your structures. Now, how about a North Node eclipse on Chiron? So in this case, it might not feel very positive because it will be a reactivation of a physical wound, a spiritual wound as well, or you may be newly wounded. So a new wound that may put the finger and on the injury or on the wound, the spiritual wound. But at the same time, it could be a new opportunity to heal that wound. For example, finding a therapist or finding a new treatment, alternative usually, because Chiron deals with alternative medicine. And it could be a very strong reaction to your wounding. It could bring a trigger that forces you to attend to the wound and to look for treatment. So also the body parts associated with the sign in the house where Chiron is, right? Suppose that is Chiron in Gemini. Okay, so then the shoulders, the hands, the arms, the lungs could be affected in that case, right? And the house, you need to consider which house it is. So those areas of the body could be affected. As I said, either positive or negative. So a North Node eclipse on Uranus, it could be a drastic and unexpected, but spiritually necessary change. And in general, it will affect society as a whole, but it could affect you as a corollary. So it could be innovation in society that affects the way, for example, you work, if it is the sixth house, or it could be changes in the collective technology or science that affects your life. It's also a liberation. It can present an opportunity for freedom, for liberate yourself from something related to the themes of the house where it happens. And you may liberate yourself from a codependent relationship, for example, or dependency of other kinds, like depending on your brother or the sister who always is helping you, etc., or always living off you, right? So it could be an upgrade on your social conditioning and the participation in groups, right? You may change groups. All of a sudden you realize something and you get you run away from that group and you decide to change your political party or something. So it could also be an unreliable or very eccentric person enters your life. So be careful with those, because they are here today and not tomorrow. They're not reliable. You can't count on those people if that is the case. So the parts of the body that might be affected could be the shins, the nervous system. Usually you get very, very nervous. You may suffer from anxiety if this eclipse affects your Uranus. You may have respiratory illnesses because Uranus rules the air, allergies, asthma, and such, bronchitis. So if the North Node is conjoining Neptune, then this will bring you more into the spiritual activities. You may have more inclination to spirituality, and you may go on vacation or a retreat or something. Okay, so you may dedicate yourself to artistic pursuits, or have vivid dreams, lots of imaginary life. And be careful, because you may increase, if you have been self-sabotaging yourself, you may increase that behavior. So addictions may be stronger if you are so inclined to that kind of thing, and make sure you don't overdose if you are addicted to drugs. That could be the danger, because there is this increasing in energy that is coming to Neptune. Of course, it depends on the house and your natal chart, so don't be scared. But it may bring also too much spiritual perception, intuitive perception, psychic, even telepathy, and it may be overwhelming. So you may be deceived. You may be deceived by others, or you may deceive yourself because of the confusion that it creates. And it may be a disillusionment, that you believed in something, and all of a sudden you realize, wow, I was really confused about that. I didn't know that. And you may find out some information that you were believing in something wrong. So it may bring this level of uncertainty that you don't know anymore, right? What is reality and what is not. So and if you need to solve problems, you may be missing information. So there is a very high risk of deception, as I said, not only from others, you may deceive yourself. So, and be careful not to be vulnerable to scammers and swindlers. You know, it's a tricky eclipse on Neptune. So finally, we have the eclipse on Pluto, and that will be intense, because any change will be a deep, profound transformation that will be permanent. Like, Pluto is the lord of death. So once Pluto kills something, you lose it forever. So, and there is purpose on that, because you need to come back to zero sometimes in life. So, and I know it could be perceived negatively, but remember, there is a spiritual purpose. You may be deprived of everything in your life, and that means that you have an opportunity to start again from scratch, from zero. You may start a new life, and maybe that's what you need in order for your life to be fully spiritually developed. So there is usually a destruction of one aspect of your life. As I said, many people have been suffering all the destruction of all aspects of their lives. Let's take people who suffered flooding, lost their houses, their memories, and sometimes many family members, right? Like in the earthquake in Turkey or in Morocco. There is an eclipse on Pluto. It could be associated with a mass destruction. It could be affecting the collective, and therefore you individually. So, but remember, there's always, if you survive that catastrophe, it's a healing crisis. It's something that gives you an opportunity to heal, and a psychological clearing, meaning that you are purging psychologically. It presents an open door to self-improvement and empowerment. So you will need stronger efforts to apply in the area of where the eclipse happens, and ruled by Pluto. So now I don't think many people will have Pluto in Taurus at this time, but suppose that Pluto is in Scorpio and the sun is joining Pluto. So the moon is impossible that conjoins Pluto, but the sun may be if you have Pluto in Scorpio. In any case, you will be affected. So, and the changes could be in the area of finances, loans, mortgages, inheritances, and there could be power struggles, but it's always in the purpose will be empowerment for you. So the areas affected are the reproductive organs, especially with Pluto and Scorpio, right? Genitals, the colon, and the detoxifying. So it may be that you start a regime to detoxify, for example. So Pluto is very good at that. So these are the sources that I consulted to do this class. This is an excerpt of my class, and I really appreciate your watching this video, and I will make another video next time talking about the chart for the October 28th lunar eclipse in Taurus. So stay tuned, subscribe, and ring the bell so when the new video is posted, you will be notified. So for now, thank you so much, and I wish you the best with this eclipse. I hope that you make comments underneath the video telling me your experiences. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Bye-bye.